Hey everyone, it's the Dr. Jason West program, and this is the segment that we're doing where we reverse position that I'm the patient and there's a doctor on the other side. And literally, the segment is what would I do if I had allergies? And there's so many neat resources and stuff we put together for this program because your immune system is literally overreacting, it's throwing a temper tantrum. And there's things like salt and Butterbur and Nettle and Yakatron and Antranet. Like there's so many different things that can help to retrain your nervous system and your immune system outside of a steroid or an antihistamine. So that's our program today. And before I start, I got to give a couple shout outs to some different team members. Like the first thing is, I just want to thank everybody at the West Clinic for allowing and helping me to do these programs every week. They're amazing. Everyone over there at our office is committed to their sole purpose of helping other people with a wonderful patient experience. This is our patient website, and I just wanted to show everybody there's some really neat resources over here. We have a blog where you can actually learn about what happens inside or behind the curtains. We've had a new nutritional posting, but we have literally a post about Shelby, who's our medical director, Tori, who's on our front desk, and Gina is our assistant, and Tassia runs the IV room, and Susie and our team leader. So we constantly put out new blogs, and I just wanted to really, I'm really proud of what we put together in the team to doing it. My next sponsor is our nutritional company, Personalized OTC. And OTC does not stand for over the counter. It stands for organs, tissues, and cells. And because if you help the organs, tissues, and cells, then you are literally going to get your life back, your own story. We have a couple different things on our website and our clean eating guide that we give inside of our program. And so it's just special. The West Clinic is a sponsor. OTC is a sponsor. And then the last thing that we've done is we have put together a doctor training program, a healthcare provider program. So many people contact us and ask, what can I do? I can't travel to Idaho. What can I do? So we actually have created a system where we can train open-minded healthcare providers on the 106-year protocols of the West Clinic. That's called the Henry's Guild. So those are our sponsors. And as a reminder, everyone, I am so excited to do this, is to show people we actually have a live stream library. So if you've seen a topic that you needed help on, osteoarthritis or a support therapy, or what I would do if I have Lyme disease, or, the patients that are actually inside of the office getting treatment, headaches, toxic thyroid, arthritis, like we have all of that inside of our special live replay, which is the drjasonwest.live. So I'm excited to share that with people. We have a replay link, and without further delay, let's get into today's topic. What is today's topic? It is this. What would we do if we had allergies? So let's go through that again. Oh, before I forget, you guys, I am so excited to share you this. I forgot to share with you one of the things that I worked really hard on, which is this right here. So actually, let me take it back. It is not this. Let me get the article up here. Okay. It's the natural treatments for allergies. Here it is right here. We've created a wonderful ebook with myself and Dr. Nelson and our medical director and our mind body healer and our entire team. And so the neat thing about this program is what I want to do is to empower people that if you are suffering or if you are having problems with allergies, what can you do about it? Number one, at home, what can you do about it from a natural therapy standpoint? And what about some things we can do inside the office? So everything we're talking about in this presentation is available through our ebook, The Natural Therapy Solutions and Treatments for Allergies. All you have to go do to get it is go to drjasonwest.live and register. We're talking about saline rinses, so the neti pot. We're talking about quericint and leafy vegetables, citrus fruits, Butterbur, and why, if you have allergies, it's so important to not be drinking concentrated orange juice. So we talk about that in there. We also talk about one of the neatest neurotransmitter helpers. And just like other things in natural healthcare, too much of it is bad, too little of it is bad. And that is salt. And it's the right kind of salt, but salt acts like a natural antihistamine. It's so good for breathing conditions if it's used correctly. If it's abused, it's going to give you different problems. And then, of course, I go through the natural treatments that I think are so good. The herb called yakatron, also some quericint, some liver extract, why vitamin C is so important, and then something called histidio. There's also a really neat liquid natural treatments that I'm going to talk about. So all of that's available in our free ebook through our sponsor, and that is Personalized Organs and Tissues and Cells. But let's go into allergies and what to do about allergies. So the first thing is let's go through and just kind of get this. Now, what I decided to do with this is autoimmune problems, which is what allergies are, like symptoms, itchy nose, congestion, runny nose, headache, watery eyes. Like there's so many different things that happen when your immune system has this temper tantrum. So I'm just going to pick on hay fever, because what happens is this plant material is mistaken for an invasive protein by your body's immune system, leading to the production of chemicals like histamine. So what histamine does is it attempts to attack or expel the invader, resulting from those bothersome symptoms that we first talked about. And so the medical therapies for allergies is usually, some type of antihistamine or a steroid or something to reduce the inflammation. And the problem with that approach is it doesn't help to retrain the body. So it's good for acute conditions, but if you take an antihistamine for too long or a steroid, like you can get other disease conditions that you don't want. And so some of the best ways that I know how to help people is just some really neat things that you can do at home. And one of them is this essential nutrient known as water. Now, sometimes people say it can't be that simple. There's a wonderful book, Your Body's Many Cries for Water. You're not tired, you're toxic. There's someone that I just think is a hero in medicine, Dr. Babangidi, that goes through and he talks about what happens when people get dehydrated. And one of them is that they get horrible allergies, or their allergies get exacerbated by not having enough oil in your system. It's like you're the Tin Man on the Wizard of Oz. The other thing that I really like for allergies is the saline rinses, that the neti pot. The alternative to using like a saline nasal spray is to do these nasal rinses. Sometimes you can add just a little bit of Vicks Vapor Rub, or what they call Obas oil. It's a type of eucalyptus oil. There are good detoxifying and purifying things. I just see a lot of benefit for this and not a lot of harm. The other thing, and this is a plug for something, all the moms and grandmas out there that say, look, you are what you eat and you are what you absorb. This is a perfect example of quercetin. Now, quercetin, or vitamin P, and bioflavonoids, why they're so important is because they make vitamin C work, which is an electron donor. What electron donor is it helps to be the cofactor for the vitamin C pathways. And vitamin C is such an important immune system regulator. And this is why it's so important to eat green things. So quercetin has been tested in clinical trials. It's shown to reduce the irritation of airways. And in concentrated doses, it can help control severe anaphylactic reactions to foods like peanuts. Now, I wouldn't say that if you have a peanut allergy and you're having a serious attack, that you should be cramming green things into people. But I do say, as a preventative, it's so helpful to have that preloaded into your system. Now, with a food allergy, the best thing to do is to eliminate that food and go to work on retraining the system, which we call desensitization therapy. But it's critical to make sure that you have green leafy things. And then that goes back to my favorite vitamin. So what is my favorite vitamin? Like, it's vitamin C, because vitamin C literally does everything. It donates electrons to the body. It helps the immune system. It helps the connective tissue. It helps the blood pressure. And so when we go into citrus fruits, vitamin C, antioxidants, especially lemons, but not lemonade, are extremely good at boosting the immune system and preventing the symptoms of seasonal allergies. Another one that works really well is to add a splash of pure lemon juice to olive oil for salad dressing, and even just squeezing lemon juice into your water is really good. And then oranges are good if they're eating the orange, but drinking orange juice and lemonade and some other things are actually detrimental to the allergy pathways. And we're going to talk about this in just a second. But I also wanted to not forget one of my other favorite things, and that is Butterbur. So what does Butterbur do? It's known as Pesticides hybridus. It's grown in wet marshlands, damp forests. It's an extract that comes from the leaf or the root of the bulb, and it contains potassium and isopotassium, which helps to reduce spasms and inflammation, and it's thought to have some really neat beneficial effects. Now, this herb goes back so far, and when you combine it with some other herbal considerations, like one of the neat things that we look at is nettle. Now, what does nettle do? Well, nettle helps to regulate the pathways for histamine, overreactions, and inflammation. It's been used for literally thousands of years, as far back as tea. But the preparations include, tinctures or freeze-dried capsules. So if you're suffering from seasonal allergies, you should check out nettle. Now, one of the things that you want to be really careful with allergies is concentrated citrus juice, particularly orange juice. And one of the reasons why is because there's potassium in it, but also there's too much sugar. Like, if you were to go and eat oranges, how many could you eat before you get tired of them? One, maybe two. It's going to be hard to get past two. And it takes about 8 to 10 oranges to make a glass of orange juice. So one of my sickest patients came into the office and his joints hurt. And he's like, hey, I got to go in and I got to get some replacement surgery. I can't shave. I can't even comb my hair. And I asked him, well, okay, so what is getting your body so, acidic and inflamed? And one of the things he said is, well, I gave up soda and, I replaced it with orange juice. And I'm like, well, how much are you drinking? He said, well, sometimes a gallon a day. And I'm like, there's 128 ounces in a gallon. If it takes 3 to 4 oranges to make 8 ounces, 8 into 120 is 40 something, oranges. It's just an enormous amount of acidity, the wrong kind of sugar, and potassium. No wonder why you're hurt so much. And so we got him to stop drinking that much orange juice, and his joints freed up, and he's able to actually avoid his joint replacement surgery. So don't forget, if you are trying to be healthy, sometimes doing that and substituting, an energy drink or a soda for orange juice or lemonade can actually be pretty harmful as well. Okay. Now, the other thing that I really like to share with people is the right kind of salt. Now, I think that salt gets a little bit of a bad rap in the healthcare thing. I think it gets blamed for so many things. And yes, it's just like everything else. If your blood sugar is too high, you get diabetes and die. If it's too low, you lapse into a coma and die. And salt is the same way, except salt is so good for so many different things, particularly for allergies. And the reason why is because salt is a natural antihistamine. And especially when you combine it with dehydration, the body begins to retain salt. So one of the problems or bad education about dieting salt-free diets is because they become established trends, but I'm not sure that's always the best thing to do. Matter of fact, in severe asthma attacks and breathing pathways, salt shortage is a major contributing factor. It's a natural antihistamine, and people with allergies and asthma could increase their salt intake a little bit, making sure that it's either natural sea salt or Himalayan rock salt, because it really helps to regulate histamine levels. And so going through the literature, water's needed to help to lungs to keep the air passages moist and prevent from drying when air goes in and out. And dehydration, mucus secretion, protects the air passages from drying out. In the first stages of asthma, mucus is secreted and it stays put, preventing the normal passage of air through airways. Sodium is a natural mucus breaker and is normally secreted to make mucus disposable. Now, there's also another herb, I didn't write it in my book, that is so good for mucus called fenugreek. And I didn't write about it in the book. I just want everybody to be aware of it. Fenugreek, Butterbur, Yakatron, Nettle. Some of these herbs are so good for helping to modulate the immune system and help to break up and work through a natural way for mucus. So when you're low in salt and dehydrated, this is why phlegm becomes salty when it comes to contacts with the tongue. So healthy salt is needed to break up the mucus in the lungs and render it water for its expulsion from the airway pathways. So this helps to get rid of chronic congestion, increasing your water intake and increasing healthy salt intake. And I keep saying healthy salt because it's not iodized salt. I really like the sea salt and the Himalayan salt. So not losing salt to mucus secretion becomes part of the program. The body needs to be assured that both water and salt are available before bronchial constriction relaxes and the mucus becomes loose enough to be secreted. So a couple things that to be aware of. If you're looking for some naturally allergy treatments, my recommendations are this. 1, increase your water intake. 2, decrease your sugar intake. Be careful with orange juices and lemonade. I almost said lemons, but I meant lemonade. That's really good. But here's the other thing. Increasing your healthy and alive foods really helps to put the body back in balance. So those green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, oranges, not orange juice, lemons, not lemonade, and also some of the, I said spinach, kale, broccoli is another one as long as you don't have food sensitivities to that. So in the health food store or the grocery store, if you're looking for things, nettle, butterbur, of course, curcumin, and turmeric, these are some of the things that I see in my practice that are really beneficial. So 1, there is something called Antranex. Now, Antranex comes from a company called Standard Process, and it has an herb in it. It's a Japanese herb called Yakatron, which really helps to clean out the thyroid. Now, most of the time, people are not thinking that the thyroid is associated with allergies, but the thyroid is a secondary gland of detoxification. Every couple of minutes, the blood in our body goes through the thyroid, and it has a secondary purification process. And when we get too much toxins in the thyroid, one of the classic things that happens is you get allergies. So I really like this product. It's called Antranex. Antranex helps to clean out a toxic thyroid. Another one is something called Allerplex. Now, this is something specifically made by this company that is really good for allergies and pathway. It has the fenugreek in it that I was talking about before, so it's really good for facilitating and moving mucus. If you're coughing up, you're having a productive secretions from an allergy exposure, whether it's hay fever or pollens, or a certain time of year you get problems with allergies. This is a great product for that because of the fenugreek component. It also has some bioflavonoids. It has that beef liver extract, and it has some of that Japanese herb called Yakatron. Now, my favorite supplement for so many different things is deep C, or what they call liposomal C. What liposomal C is you mix vitamin C with a fat, and what happens is it makes these little balls called liposomes. And liposomes make it really easy to get inside of the GI system, get into the blood. The nutrient absorption of liposomal vitamin C is really substantial. And so this is one of my very favorite things. This is a liquid form. I used to measure it out every day. Now I just do a couple glugs. I think it's so good for so many different things. For an antioxidant, it's a mild chelator, it's a scavenger, it's immune system, and I see so many people benefit from chronic allergies using this liquid vitamin C. So it's just a really neat thing to have inside of your medicine cabinet. Another one that I think is really good to retrain your immune system so that it doesn't have a temper tantrum. This is something that I use in my office a lot, is allergy nosode. And what it does is it helps for the relief of sneezing, running nose, nasal congestion, fatigue associated with allergies in my clinical experience. Now, this is the part where I step in and say, look, there's not a lot of FDA studies or trials on this. It's not expensive. I haven't had people have reactions to this. It either helps them or they stay the same. And of course, my goal is to always help people improve. And so I see a lot of benefit from this, but it's not an approved medical therapy. This is just something that my grandfather taught my dad and my dad taught me. And I see some really good outcomes with the allergy nosode. And then the last one is this, man. I really, really like this stuff. This is called Histo. It's from a company called Zymogen, and it contains diamine oxidase, which helps to break down histamine without making you tired. And that's one of the neat things about this medicine, is it really helps to reduce inflammation, but it doesn't make you drowsy. It helps to break down the food-derived histamine in the digestive tract. It doesn't seem to upset a lot of things. I've had people use this in the morning or at night and not when they're taking their traditionally prescribed allergy medications, and it doesn't seem to cause a problem, but it really helps with antibody-related and IG-related food allergies. So it's just, again, a nice thing to have inside of your system. Now, let's talk about some advanced treatments that you can do for allergies if the things at home and the things you get at the health food store aren't helping. So those would be, increasing your water intake, nettle, citrus fruits, being careful with your sugar inflammation. But there's some advanced therapies that I wanted to tell people about that we've been doing in the office for a long time. And one of them has to do with an advanced form of oxidative medicine, and this is called autohemotherapy. So it's a regulating or holistic medicine. It's been used way back in the 1920s. It was basically invented by a Dr. Dosch and his son, and he wrote a book about it. During the procedure, the reason why they call it autohemotherapy is a small amount of blood is taken out, mixed with a natural remedy, sometimes a homeopathic, sometimes B12, a little bit of oxygen. You shake it up, you get all of the oxygen gas out of it, and then it's introduced into the skin or the muscle of the patient. Now, in the book that's called The Manual of Neural Therapy, it says, sometimes you get things in circulation. This is an age-old therapy that I see the body getting to spring clean. So what does that mean when you spring clean? A lot of times the body has a nerve memory, or basically another way to describe it is if people walk into their house and their mom or their spouse or someone's making their favorite food, they walk in and they're like, oh my gosh, this smells so good. I'm going to pick healthy things. It's chicken noodle soup. It's stew. It's a homemade healthy meal. That's like, if I go to my mom's house, she makes this stuff called crabby rice enchiladas. I just love it. I walk in, it smells so delightful. And then what happens 5 or 10 minutes later is your body's nervous system and immune system, like it's accepted that stimuli as normal. You don't smell it anymore. Like it doesn't smell as good as when you walk in, and then you forget something out of your car, or you take your dog on your walk, or you take the garbage out. You go outside, you come back in. What happens? Your body readjusts or reacclimates. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. A lot of times when people have chronic things in their environment, whether it's chemicals or allergies and antigens, if you take a little bit out of the vascular system, which the body gets used to, and you introduce it to the muscular system, the body literally recalibrates, says, hey, this isn't supposed to be in here, and it does a spring cleaning mechanism. So I've seen really good responses to contact allergies like eczema and dermatitis. I've also seen some really good responses to seasonal allergies. I've learned this from numerous naturopathic and advanced integrative medical programs. I learned this back in 2005, and I've seen some really good outcomes of this, just getting the antigens where the body's used to them and putting them into a different body system. It's called autohemotherapy. Another one that I've seen really good outcomes with is in a protocol that I was taught by Dr. Rowan called ultraviolet blood irradiation therapy. This is called major hemotherapy. It was published in the literature in a study that you could see on the website called The Cure That Time Forgot. And what happens is you take a little bit of blood out of the system, you put it into a bag of saline. It's a medical procedure, so the medical oversight is to put a little bit of heparin in it so the blood doesn't clot. You put some oxygen in there so you can literally take the blood that's usually fairly dark or dark purple, and it turns red, and then you run it past an ultraviolet light back into the body. There's been millions and millions of treatments, and the neatest thing about this, it's one of the safest medical procedures. I've never seen an adverse reaction to this, but it helps to destroy fungal and bacterial growth. In my clinical experience, it seems to improve circulation. It helps to dilate the blood vessels. It helps to detoxify. They think it activates some molecules. And again, this is all clinical observation. I learned this way back in 2004, 2005, when I was going through some functional medicine testing, and we brought in a medical team to be able to offer that inside of the clinic system. Anyway, it's called UVBI therapy or major autohemotherapy. And again, it helps to modulate the immune system. So what's fun about this, again, I just want to read this. No harmful effects have been observed in the ultraviolet treatment and the therapies of thousands of cases in infections and bacterial infections and other diseases. The results seem to be long-lasting without absence of harmful side effects. And so over the last 16 years, we've done this so many times with really good outcomes for it. If you are looking for a good source of vitamins and nutrients, you can head over to our sponsor, which is Personalized OTC. And the OTC stands for Organs, Tissues, and Cells. It's affiliated with our West Clinic, and we are able to offer some high-quality products. If you need some help, it's inside of our free ebook. Also, we want to talk about some neat things that are coming up in our agenda. Number one, we're going to be talking about chronic fatigue and Lily's story inside of the office program tomorrow. Thursdays are our opportunity to take everything we teach on Wednesday and show you an example of how it works. That's going to be our Thursday program. Next week, our master class is on this. It's on chronic fatigue syndrome. So let me just move myself out of the way just a little bit. There we go. It's going to be next Wednesday, 6 o'clock. We have an ebook that we've been working on that's published, all to do about chronic fatigue and the new terminology for that, the myalgic encephalopathy. And what's fun about this, I'm going to share with you a simple blood test that tells you exactly whether you know if you have an energy robber in your system or not. It's the complete blood cell count, and it's all about the interpretation that most doctors are not paying attention to. They're not seeing what is sucking the energy out of people. And that's where the chronic fatigue comes from. And then we go to our organ systems, and because the organ systems aren't healthy, we burn out our organ systems, and then the muscles hurt, and then the joints hurt, and then you develop this chronic fatigue syndrome, or this myalgic encephalopathy, muscles and the nervous system that's inflamed. Now, if you're looking for a replay or ebooks, head over to drjasonwest.live. This is what it looks like when you get over there. You get instant access to the special bonuses, the ebooks, the supplement recommendations. They're all over there. If you need help, if you don't need help, I really want to have this as a resource so that you can be healthy. One of the worst things, or the saddest things that I hear in my office, is so many times people say, Dr. West, I wish I would have found you or someone like you before I started this pathway, or before just struggling with it for years, or looking for an alternatives to prescriptions or a surgical consideration. And so that's why we put this whole program together, is I want to help and empower people what they can do at home and what's available at the health food store. And if there's doctors in the area that are offering the services, if you recognize what those services are, like, it really helps me to fulfill the sole purpose. And then obviously, if we can help you and get make a difference so that you're healthier, like, that's fulfilling the mission, vision, and the statement of the office. Now, this is what our replays look like. If you're inside of our program, which is the Dr. Jason West Live, which is all free, here is what our video vault actually looks like. And so I'm going to share that with you right here. And so we've done osteoarthritis, and we have Jessica's story and what to do if I had viral infections, and Tyson's story and what I would do if I had the pandemic, or what would I do if I was diagnosed with cancer or disabling arthritis or chronic urinary tract infections. Like, we have so many different things inside of that video vault. That is what is available when you go over there and look at the live cast library. Also, we have a special program. If you'd like to know more about how to work closer with us, we have a Thrivers program. Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we have a virtual office visit. We create custom supplements. We have a podcast download, and there's a way to get a percentage off of your supplements and book downloads. And there's a special text hotline that gets you immediately to the front of the line. If you are interested in the Thrivers program, just send an email to Jody at West Clinic Online. It's our special services. It's our way that we work with patients close, whether they're across the street or across the country. That is our program tonight on allergies, what you can do at home. Nettle, Butterbur, the right kind of salt. Stay away from the iodized salt. You want Himalayan salt or sea salt. Increase your water pathways, decrease your sugar intake. Allergies are something that we literally help to resolve, and they literally disappear every single day inside of the West Clinic program. So that is our program for tonight. Next week, it's all about chronic fatigue and how to beat it, how to do something about it instead of just living with it. I'm Dr. Jason West. That's our program tonight, and I'll see you guys tomorrow and hear Lily's story about how she beat chronic fatigue. Next week, that's our program. We'll see you guys later.